Alright, so in this video, we're going to make use of this button right here such that when you click, we're going to view the profile of this user. So with that being said, let's go back to our code. In here, I'm going to go to our X data first of all. Let's add a new property called profile. Let's set it to false by default. Add a comma there. Close that. Now in here, this element which has relative overflow and some images inside, this is going to be our swiping card, rather our visual swiping card. So here we can go ahead and add X show. We're going to show this if the property of the profile is here, add an exclamation mark, the profile is false. Let's add some X, transition dot duration. This is Alpine, just to make it smooth as it is appearing or disappearing. Transition duration 150 ms milliseconds. Origin to come from the bottom. Alright. Now after that, let's go inside this profile. Let's go to personal information and actions. In here we can go to personal details. Here's a button here which is, let's name this one saying open profile or show profile. So when we click this, we want to set this profile. This will be equals exclamation mark profile, because we might set the profile to true by default. So just to avoid that flickering error, or rather error while testing, let's just set this one to this. So here, if the profile is true, it will set it to false. If it's false, it will set it to true. So now after doing that, now let's go ahead and create our profile element. Let's close that. Here, let's name this one swipe card. And then down here, let's call this one profile card. And let's create a div. You can add some classes. Let's make this one absolute. Insert X. Actually, let's insert 0. Overflow Y. Auto. Overflow hidden. There. Overscroll. Make it contain. Your border. Rounded XL. Background white. And space Y. Space Y4. Right. Now that element, inside it, let's add some attributes. In here we can add X clock. We don't want it to be flickering in the document. Let's add X show if the profile is true. The X transition dot 150 milliseconds. Make sure it's the same, because if it's not the same, then you might see some flickering. So if the duration is 150 here, make it 150 the same on top. This one's going to be origin top. Also make this draggable true to avoid it from altering or interfering with the pan element, the draggable element. And here lastly add style content contain. Now this is just used to, here you can read determines which page occurrence. Now this should be contain content. I usually confuse that. Now this, it will try as much as possible to make this element independent of the rest of the DOM tree. So which means if you add a fixed value inside, it's not going to go to the body. It's going to just remain within this element. That's why we add this contain content. Right, after doing that, in here, we can go ahead and actually, let's go to our swipe card. Let's copy this carousel section plus this PHP. So here, let's go ahead and copy that. Let's close that. Actually, here, let me do that to make it closable. Yes. In here, let's paste that. Now we have this carousel section of images, and since we've added this one now, we don't want it to occupy the whole element, this profile card. So here we can limit the size of this. So for us, we're going to add here in this section, let's add a class relative, so that all absolute elements will be under this section. We add relative and just set the height to 96. All right, now after adding that, here we need the close buttons. For example, here after the next one. But for now, let's just go and see how it's looking like. For now, it's not going to show the profile because we're actually loading the swipe card first. So here in the top, in the X data, the main one, add profile to true. So now if we go, let's refresh this. You see now it's showing the profile by default like that. Now we can go to these images just as we did before. But we cannot drag this as make it swipe no or like. So that's gonna go back to where it was because it's now in the profile card, not the swipe card. But it's working correctly for now. So just as the actual Tinder, let's go ahead and add a button here which will revert us back to our swipe card, which is now where this one comes in, this profile card, sorry, this close profile button. If I add a button, add a class, let's say absolute, negative bottom, we can say 4, right 3, say background Tinder to give that Tinder background effect red, orange, say padding 3, and say hover, scale 1:10, transition transform, rounded full, max width, fit, max height, fit to make it text white, since the background here is the Tinder background that we created a bit earlier. Now inside here we're gonna have an SVG. Here you can go ahead and add. Let's go ahead and add to hero icons. Let's get an arrow. Let's get this down arrow. If it's down or up, I don't remember, but yeah, let's get this arrow. Paste it here. Now if we go, let's go ahead and check it out. Okay, it's showing something like that, which we want. And now it's showing some scale when you go up and back like that. So let's just go and edit this. Let's add stroke here to like 3. If we go back, awesome. Now it's showing this big arrow that we can go click and go back to our card. But now if we click, nothing is happening. So let's go back. In here, let's add an attribute saying at click for Alpine. So we can set the profile Fox. Now if we go, it's loaded. If I click here, we go back to our swipe. Now I can start swiping like that. And if I click again, go back to our profile. So it's working smoothly and clean like that. And now swipe and then go back to this profile guy, check out the images and then swipe again. So it's working fine. Now let's continue adding more items. Now if you go back here, let's close this carousel. Down here we're gonna have another section, profile information. We're gonna have a section at the class here. You're gonna have a grid, just one grid, a gap 4, padding 3. The grid is just used to make the element inside here stretch to the maximum. Alright, just like the flex code. Okay, let's add flex, item center, the text 3XL, here gap 3, and the text wrap. You're gonna have a H3, dot font bold, add a fake name. And here we're gonna have a span element. Let's add like age 22. The class, let's add a font semi-bold and text gray 800. But after adding that, next let's add about in this same section. About, let's make it a UL list dot the item center, the text gray 600 and text large. Add a tab there. Now with this, we're gonna just like how Tinder is. I think it's like a profession, so I can say software developer. Let's copy this like twice. So you can say the height, let's say 186 centimeters. Let's say lives Spain. Alright. After that, let's just add like HR there. So like a line, horizontal line. And let's check out how it's looking like. Awesome. Now you see in the profile card, now we have this name, this button, and something like software developer, height, and where they live. All right, like that we can still function like that. Now in here, this one is going a little bit to the space. So let's make it stretch outward. This HR horizontal line. Here, let's add negative mx, something like 2.5. Now if we check, also now stretch to the whole, width like that to counter for the padding inside. But after that, this one, now let's add a P to be a bio. You can just let's just say lorem, okay, class, here text, gray, 600. I don't need to check that, we'll check that later. Here, let's say relationship goals. You can create something like rounded, XL, and then background, let's say green, 100, height, 24. Want to create like a box which is colored. There are PX4, PY2, max width fit, flex, gap of 4, item center. Inside here, we're gonna have a div for text 3XL. And then here, so another div. Width, we can make it something like width 4/5, which would be like 80%. Here we're gonna have a span. The font bold, text small, text green, 500. Let's say 800. Since this is 200, let's make it darker here. Here we can say looking for, and down here a span element, text green, 800. So you can say new friends. Now in here, we're gonna have an emoji here. Let's say a wave emoji. So for that, you can simply click. Make sure you install this package. This one, go to extensions, and then search for this package, emoji. Yeah, make sure you add this package here, this one, emoji package. Or rather, the extension, rather. Now, after add the extension, you can go back to our code. Here, let's press Command P. Here, click this greater than, go to emoji, this one, emoji insert. Now we can search for the high, or rather wave, and then get that. Alright, it's come here. Now let's copy that from here. Let's put it in here. Now if you go and check, here if I scroll down, you see you have this description, and here looking for new friends. That we just added here, this element. Alright, now let's continue and add one last section here before we make this video too long. So now if we go back, here after relationship goals, now we can add here more information. Right, down here we can simply add divide y space y2. Now this divide just used to create lines in between elements, and I'll show you what that means later. Alright, so now in here I'm gonna create a div, space y3 py2. In here I'm gonna have h3, and say font bold. You can say languages, you can say text XL. Here let's create a list, a gap 3. Here let's create a list dot, and the p should be less than px, 1.5. Here actually make sure it's point. Here add p is equals to point. Here let's add a few languages. Let me say German. Paste that twice. in adding random languages here that you know. Here, Turkish. And now if I go and I scroll down, now we have this, which is not really looking good. So let's go find out why. Okay, so here it's because of this one. Here, make sure it says 1.5. Here, hold Alt. Here, 1.5, not 5. And if you go, check it out. Yeah, now it's looking much better. Now, with that being said, in here, after languages I know, you can just add py2. Now, for this, we can simply copy this twice. Copy that. Here, let's add something like basics. The basics is going to be, I think I saw something like touch. A better in person. Let's copy that again. Here we can say lifestyle. Now if you go and check it out, but now here it's showing out some languages I know, basic and lifestyle. So yeah, this is good. And I think before I make the video too long, let's close it. And then the next one, let's go work on the actions here, because when we are on this page, when we click, we still want to see the actions here for scroll left, right, or swipe up. Alright, so see you in the next video.